Many people in the Rockford community stood together to celebrate and elevate Brave Women's Sunday, which happened to be International Women's Day. WIFR's Rockford talks with those at a women's march outside the federal courthouse in Rockford on their commitment to forging women's advancement nationwide.
Yeah, well, today is International Women's Day, and it's no secret that women have been disenfranchised from power, including the vote, for more generations than we have not.
Dozens of people stood outside the federal courthouse in Rockford rallying for Change Sunday. This year's theme, Be Brave Together, focused on supporting women, standing with survivors of violence, and encouraging people to speak out on issues affecting their communities.
And so we decided to try to bring people together and use our collective voice as a demonstration of the bravery it took for those survivors to come forward and how they are deserving of accountability and action from the systems around them that are meant to actually serve them, not perpetuate their victimization.
Megan Bershon with Women's March Rockford says they wanted to create a space for everyone to be heard. She says bravery can take many forms, and events like this should remind people support can start with small actions.
Bravery doesn't have to be reporting to the police. It doesn't have to be even showing up here today. It's waking up tomorrow. It's practicing good self-care. It's challenging sexist and misogynistic ideas.
Today's gathering also marked a day highlighting the importance of equality.
We are living in a time when it is very clear that there is overwhelming evidence of sexual violence against children and women in this country. And the people who have committed that violence, the people who are covering up that violence, are not being held accountable.
In Rockford, Shrikar Rajendran, WIFR News.
Organizers say they hope to utilize events like Sundays to bring awareness and encourage people to be involved in their communities beyond International Women's Day. The 2020